All right, class, welcome back. I'm going to show you a little bit about perspective. Just a quick talk through. 1 point. So say that's our canvas. If you have a railroad track, we'll say you have a horizon line. Horizon line is where your eye level. So if you're standing on the edge of the ocean, the horizon line is where your eye ends. Everything that you look at, there is some sort of horizon line. Is the point of eye, whatever that's level with your eyes, whatever goes up or down. There's lots of different ways to look at it and think about it. One of the things, let's talk about a vanishing point. So saying you're standing on a railroad track and you know that it's this wide and it's just straight. And then and it goes off into the distance as far as you can possibly see until it just disappears. It's vanished, boom. Obviously the edges get blurred out and faded out. Colors change along the way. Even the railroad ties, they start out thick up here and then they get thinner until you don't even see them. And it's just a color. So with let me just look at this real quick. With ours, we know that we have like our vanishing point is probably a little bit higher than you think. It's not, there's a light sort of in that area. There are palm trees over here, and this is the building, and we have the lights right here, the lamps, lanterns. Well, find where looks the best, where each of these lines meet up. So if you have a straight line, you can hold it to the angle of this. The sidewalk comes up about right there. Even the other edge of the sidewalk comes to about right here. These columns and stuff, ornate work, comes down and it meets about right there. So our vanishing point is somewhere around in this area. And that would be our horizon line as well. So we have everything's kind of leading here. Things that are bigger, like, will be smaller, drawn smaller as they go down. Talking about these lanterns and stuff like that. So that's what we're looking at. All right, capiche? I don't know how well that was done or explained, but hopefully you grasp a little bit of that concept. So let's just get going, I reckon. One of the things I can do before I even think about the perspective is even it's easy to find your vertical lines. So you can find your vertical lines and be pretty well off. You can also, we can throw in these like palm trees. I know that the edge of one's right here. I just came in with just a little bit of blue, thinned up the paint, and I'm just starting to paint. I know that you can kind of see where they end. And I'm not thinking about the fronds, really. I'm thinking more about the shapes that they make, and then the individual palm leaves themselves that are sprouting off. You don't have to worry about that. So like me making that shape is in just trying to make this shape right here, or just something to know where I am visually, and then feel like I'm there already at the base. I'll just switch up color. You don't have to switch up colors. I'm doing it to just kind of let you know what I'm doing at the time. All right, so I'm going to just concentrate on the palm trunk right now, right here. Remember not to just go like too thick all of a sudden. It's easy to kind of like, once you paint it, like it's easy to beef it out. You don't want to just have this beefy trunk though. And you don't want one so skinny, but just be cautious of how thick or how thin you're actually making the trunk of the palm. And then you have, got grass down there, monkey grass. And there's another one back there. Trying to think of that, like that's a specific shape. Just this dark angle kind of coming out. You can just hit that. You can think about the specific shapes in the background, like the back foliage that's going on. It's more about this stage for sure, drawing is just trying to get things in place. Like I feel like that building's edge is probably going to be somewhere around in there. You can find out where the building ends by just kind of coming down. So I know it's probably ends there. Probably goes like that. And then we got a bunch. We can draw the car in. I mean, landscapes are a lot. Like when you actually think about urban landscape or, your natural landscape, pastoral landscape, there's so many different types of landscapes that we could have. Here's how you make a car in let's say the fewest shapes possible, right? Let's just think about this. Rectangle. I actually know where it starts though, like the height. So let's say it starts right here, kind of comes about this far, and then it dives down pretty harsh. The back, there's a space for the top, the roof. There's the tail lights, trunk, bottom. And then it is an SUV, so it might be. So that would be what I would probably use for my dart. Let's get a little bit more nuts and bolts. We have an edge right here. You don't want to be... One of the things that might help now is to really find where we wanted the vanishing point, since I really didn't do that. And I know I want mine like sort of here, so I can kind of gauge that it'd be maybe somewhere around in there. Like I know that would be this lamp. So I want it out right there. What ends up happening is that this building, like right in here, let's just find the edge first. So we know that about this far off, like we'll have a dark edge. And then, you know, right here, there's another one. And these will get thinner as they go back into space as well. So I'm just doing this so it shows up a little bit, sketch shows up a little more. And then you got a bunch of windows past that. After the 3 lines, you have a bunch of basically just windows. And the windows, so the bottom edge of the window, so let's say the first window ends here. So you say it ends there. And we don't have to worry about where it starts. But you can take that bottom edge, and if you were to draw a line to where your vanishing point is, the rest of the lines will end up down there too. So we know that the other one's here, the other one's here, and so on and so on. They get smaller, even more smaller when I'm making. But this angle, and this is our road, our sidewalk. That's our sidewalk from this side. Even our street, like we can't see the other side of the street, but the other side of the street would actually be that way too. Boom. Although it does take a, you know, the street actually starts turning about right there. So you don't have that in play. All right, so let's get if we got the a little bit of this first lamp in, then we'll be able to kind of find out. We know, like I know that it kind of ends around in here. And look at the shapes of, it's like an octagon shape around the top and around the bottom. Don't have to be precise. You just want to feel like it's going back into space. I'm not sitting here. I don't want to really start drawing with my paint. I actually just want to be able to lay these things in real quick and move on so I can actually lay it in. But you don't want to be too hasty and not really have some sort of a semblance of draftsmanship at all. So this is all, if what happens if we mess up, like, or if you don't like it at all, just come back with a clean brush, hit the area, wipe it away, start again. No harm, no foul. I'm not really hitting this with a lot of thick, dark paint because I'm going to be painting over here and there's going to be some subtle changes I'll show you to make the lamp light actually look like it glows. All right, so what I was saying earlier about the lamps, like the bottom of these lamps will end up at your horizon point. I mean your vanishing point. So like, even if you had say you had a straight line, so I know the next one starts, it misses one, it misses, so it starts like right there. Actually lower, or no, about right. Kind of comes in. Probably to get some there. Our eye looks up higher. Like if we were to look at this, our head would actually have to tilt up. So you're going to see more of the underneath belly of this. And the farther they go, the straighter that the lamps, the edges will be. You won't have this wrap around. We still have a little bit in this one. And this brush is getting gnarly. So anyway, we'll keep going. We know the next one's like the second. Even the bottom things, like they all line up. So to know, like I can put the bottom of that and the bottom of this lamp, and hopefully that'll match up to, and this is where the next one ends. Then it comes out. And they're getting, hopefully I'm going to make them even smaller and one a little more smaller. So look at how close this one is connected. That space between here and then that, it's just a sliver of a air gap. So we know that I could, and you know where they start. Look at where it starts. You can even start it up there. Come on. And the next one's sort of like tucked in behind it, and it's even smaller. So I don't really have a fine brush out. It's a brush I've been using for a while and it's frayed, so it's not really a must to have a bunch of things. All right, now you have this like scroll work. I know this is getting a little bit long, but we're gonna end it really soon. I really want to hint at one or two, and I'll let brush work hint at the rest of them. Even if they get hinted at, there's like a column or two, you know, two as well, that's kind of up in here. I'm not really like too concerned about that. I really want our eye to just like bypass this. You don't need a ton of just delicate brushwork and really trying to nail this draftsmanship wise. Like you want your eye, you want it to feel like this, but you want your eye to just kind of come down. It's going to come down in this light, in this area, and hopefully like that's where we'll stay. Like we'll be led up or led down and kind of roll back in here. All right. So you can hint at the shape. Once again, every single one of the bottom of these will line up. Doesn't have to necessarily line up with the, I guess it does pretty much line up with the bottom of the posts, the lanterns. Go into our vanishing point. And then it's just, I mean, it's just really non-existent. Not really concerned about any of this other stuff. Like, if anything, like I could come in and let's say that's this first one. I'm gonna start out. There's 3 palmetto trees in this, but you barely see the edge of this. Image doesn't want to show like there's 2 trunks. And then you have all that middle area that we're going to have to play with. You can get like this underbelly of the foliage is a good thing to do. There's a building right there, and there's foliage that comes out. There's a light right there. Some other geometric shapes and just colors. It's more just nonsense that your eye recognizes once you actually kind of just look at it for a little bit. Let me just, before I end, I'd just come back in and then you know there are going to be some air holes in these palms. So just be wary of that. You don't have to put them in right now, but you will. Just be aware that you're going to have to. If not, it'll just be a big black shape and it won't look right. It won't breathe. The painting won't breathe if you don't have some of these air holes and pockets. Crazy sketch. I know it doesn't look like much. We're gonna make it into something great, all right, guys?